On March 9th, 2019, 16 students left Shanghai American School to take a trip to Xizhou to participate in a program named Microcampus. Our objective was to stay in Xizhou for 28 days to study, research, and investigate one topic of personal choice, as well as making a lot of valuable connections within the village. The topic that I chose for myself was farming. I chose to do farming as my topic because I thought it would be an interesting topic to study because of the absence of it in Shanghai. I am really glad I chose this topic, and it was an awesome experience to get to talk to farmers about their stories and learn about their lifestyles. During my field research, I wanted to know what I wanted to conclude at the end of these 28 days. In the end, I chose this thesis statement. In order to determine whether or not I could survive as a farmer in Xizhou, I would need to consider the daily lifestyle, financials, and governmental policies. Farmers have a very detailed and full schedule every day. They have many things they have to manage. Every day, they work day and night to make sure that their crops are healthy and ready to harvest, to sell on the market. They work under the hot, beating sun every day, and it is extremely hard and difficult work. They very rarely take breaks, because the money they make every day depends on the amount of crops that they produce. Therefore, they cannot afford to stop working. Many farmers have children and grandchildren at home, so they need to make sure that they grow up healthily and have a good education. Farmers have to grow a variety of crops throughout the different seasons year-round. They grow crops such as garlic, spring onions, cilantro, corn, rice, and other vegetables. They go through the process of planting the seeds and then tending to the crop for the rest of the season until it is ready to pick and harvest. They must work very hard to ensure that they can make enough money to support their children and grandchildren throughout their lives. The lives of farmers are not easy. They wake up at 4 to 5 a.m. every morning to make sure that they can secure a spot at the morning market to sell their produce. They work very, very hard to make sure that they can get by every day. Every single farmer I've talked to has told me that I am very fortunate to get to live such a privileged life in Shanghai. This made me rethink my lifestyle back in Shanghai as well. I used to think my life was hard, but compared to the work that farmers do every day, my life is easy in comparison. Not only do farmers live very difficult and hard-working lives, they do not make much money by selling their produce. Depending on how many crops they harvest the day before, they can then determine the price for their crops at the morning market the next day. According to many of the farmers I've talked to, they do not make a lot of money selling their crops because of the high supply around the Xizhou area. Each farmer makes less than 100 RMB per day. Farmers need to save enough money from their income to ensure that they can support their family at home. Although they sell most of their produce in morning markets, they also take portions of the food they make to take home and feed their family. Farmers don't make a lot of money. Many of the farmers in Xizhou are around 45 to 60 years old, so they are too old to go out and find any alternatives to make money. Therefore, they just make the best of what they have and continue to farm on their land. Different crops have different values and demand, so farmers have to make smart decisions on what crops to sell in a way that would bring their family the most benefit money-wise. In my opinion, compared to the amount of work they do every day, farmers do not receive enough payment in return. Farmers work harder than the average worker, yet their pay is significantly less. If I were a farmer, this would be something I would definitely struggle with. One large aspect of Xizhou that affects farmers' lives are the governmental policies that are always being placed on them. One recent example is the Lake Erhai Protection Policy. The government felt the need to protect Lake Erhai from pollution and agricultural runoff, to protect the tourism industry. So they reclaimed all of the farms and businesses that were too close to Erhai. This affected many farmers that lived near Erhai because without their land, they had no more way of producing crops and therefore could not make any income. This is not the first time governments have placed policies on farmers trying to make a living. They also banned certain crops that farmers grow on their land, such as garlic, because of the negative effects it brings on soil. This also brings many negative effects to farmers because the government makes them change the way they grow and sell their produce, and that brings farmers a lot of extra trouble. I talked to many farmers that had their land reclaimed by the government because of the Erhai policy, and many of them say that because of their age, they have nothing else to do but wait for the state of the lake to improve, or they will just be waiting for their death. Although the policy is not very popular among farmers, They do believe that Erhai is something that needs to be protected, but the government is doing it in the wrong way. Even though the government gives farmers annual compensations of 1,000 RMB per piece of land the farmers owned, it is still not enough for the farmers to support their family at home. In conclusion, the lifestyle, financials, and government policies all have to be considered to determine whether or not I could survive as a farmer in Xizhou. After carefully covering all aspects of my project, I have come to the conclusion that I would not be able to survive as a farmer. Mostly because of the fact that the daily lifestyle is too difficult for me to handle, in my opinion. I have a newfound respect for the local farmers in Xizhou. Even though their living conditions aren't the best and they barely manage to get by every day financially wise, they still work every day with a smile on their face and were very open to me when I wanted to have conversations with them. I definitely think this experience opened up a new light and perspective for me regarding farming and food in general. I never gave farming too much thought back in Shanghai. I didn't really understand the challenge and struggles farmers go through every day, and I considered shopping in supermarkets the only reasonable way to get food onto tables. After going on this trip, however, researching my topic and meeting amazing people, my life truly has changed.